You're all set, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, October 6th meeting of the Norfolk County Board of County Commissioners into session. I'm going to read the executive order on remote participation. On Thursday, March 12th, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately or until it was rescinded or a state of emergency is terminated. On Wednesday, June 16, 2021, by action of the legislature, the order was extended until April 1st, 2029. I'm going to ask everyone to stand and join us in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady.
Present.
Commissioner Collins.
Present. I'm both.
Commissioner Shea is present. We have a quorum. Number 3, minutes of the open meeting of September 8th, 2021 for approval.
All right. We had several, right? A couple of them.
We have 20,
So put in the
18,
back burner.
8, 15, and 29. Everyone is caught up here this week. You can do all 3 at once if you
Yeah.
want.
Peter, any questions? Did you have anything?
No, I was fine with that.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman, of the meeting minutes of September 8th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
I move approval of the meeting minutes of September 15th.
Second. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote. Number 3.
29, I thought, was that the DCAM hearing one? Or did they already just approved that one? The DCAM meeting?
No, 29 was last week, correct?
Okay. The
Yeah.
DCAM. I just had a question on the
Go ahead.
DCAM meeting.
I
I thought we had
The
asked
minutes are
for,
here.
is that we already voted it, but just, that was the one that we talked to them about getting some feedback on taking care of the building. Let's say another building is taken over by them for the interim. And they avoided that. We look at the minutes, there's no answer in that point. She said something about the appraisal, but we never got an answer on that question that I asked. They said, what happens on the building? Does maintenance have to maintain it or will you? And they just said, oh, we'll get back to you. But they never, it wasn't reflected in the minutes, that's all. So I wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Yes.
It was the minutes reflected clarification on the appraisal, but not on the question of maintenance, which I think is critical for us. You know what I'm saying?
If, could we revisit the question again, just for clarification? So when we had them before us, they were talking about the site assessment contract.
Right.
Which are we gonna-
Sorry. I've been getting,
Whoa.
Is somebody talking there?
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, okay, Chris.
However, regarding the point, I think you're trying to suggest that we ask DCAM for clarification on who pays the rent or maintains the building when the occupants move to their destination. Is that the point?
No.
Okay, so-
No, so there was, they had said, the process could take several years, we know that. And in the interim, they were going to lease a building and move some of the judicial proceedings to a leased building, to which I said, who will maintain that building? And they didn't have an answer. They said, we'll get back to you.
Right.
But that wasn't reflected in the minutes. My point was on the minutes. I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
It's all right.
That was the only thing I wanted reflected in the minutes, is that there was no answer on that. They answered about the appraisal, but they didn't answer that question yet, John.
Right. Okay.
So that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I guess my presumption, and we can certainly clarify this when we get to that point of the process,
Right.
is we will maintain the building until we don't own it again.
That's what I thought.
And once the appraisal is completed, it begins the process then of public notifications, hearings, and ultimate disposition and sale. The minute the Commonwealth buys it from us, we're not obligated to maintain it any longer.
Okay.
But your point is well taken, Commissioner, because I think there'll be a fungible area, like when they're leaving, if not gone, and the negotiations are ongoing. We'll have to work. We'll have to work with the trial courts to ensure that the lease payments and the terms are upheld.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's likely to be a very fluid process, but I understand your point, Nelson. Thank you.
I suppose we could make that part of the meeting minutes of today's meeting. That's all.
I've been aware of
Leave that,
efforts.
That discussion reflected in the minutes of today. That's all.
Okay.
Rather than going back and re-voting
Okay.
or whatever else. best way to handle it.
All right, so
All right. So on that note, Mr. Chairman, not to delay, I'll move approval of the meeting minutes of September 29.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Let me just say, Commissioner, that I've been aware of efforts to talk to people in the Quincy and now Braintree area about obtaining some space, but they're riding the horse, so to speak, or driving the train. Because they are, whether they're out actively looking, I'm not sure, but I think they are.
The state.
The state. I think there was some time before where the mayor of Quincy suggested a few sites to them, and one being the old, it wasn't very old, but it was a Lowe's store as you entered the city on Bergen Parkway. Well, the T took that over, and it's going to be a big maintenance garage. So that went by the boards. Not to say they ever entertained it, but there was some outreach. I know DA Morrissey is advocating getting a building sooner rather than later because he doesn't think Quincy, other people too, Quincy's not adequate until and then plus it's going to take if and when they start, how long it's going to take. But I think it's ongoing, and you'll hear, oh, they're going to the shipyard or that, but you never hear it officially.
Okay.
And they're aware of it in town, so we've stepped up our maintenance, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
And just general cleanup. We did some rug work there recently, and John McGowan have been spending a little more elbow grease there, which is a good thing, but it's not. It's a Band-Aid approach because we don't want to put long-time money into the short-term solution.
Absolutely.
I mean, we just can't afford it.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Number 6 on the agenda is the public comment section. Do we have any public comment today, Commissioner? That's correct.
We may, Mr. Bowen, is now the time you'd like to come forward?
Kevin, sit up there if you want to talk.
Hello. Thank you, commissioners, for giving me a chance to address you today. My
Just
name's-
identify.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kevin Folan. I'm one of your employees in the maintenance department. I have about 35 years in with Norfolk County. I'm the current president of the Norfolk County Employees Union. I'd like to speak because I was reading the Abrams report in regards to the maintenance department. And I understand today you have a lot. I was talking to the director. You got a lot on your plate today. The report for the registry is coming up. So I'm going to not really get into that now because I got a lot of problems with what we listed and I have reasons for it. I like to present that in a letter to the commissioners further on rather than take up time now. But primarily the biggest concern I had is that we're funded by the state. We're reimbursed for the use of the county buildings, and our tenants are actually the trial court of Massachusetts. We're actually in the maintenance department funded by the state. So I'm wondering, how does that impact the county as far as the budget goes? Because we really don't cost the county anything. We do understand that the agricultural school is costing the county a lot of money because it over budgets, a lot like many towns and cities are experiencing throughout Massachusetts when it comes to the school systems. But even just looking into it, I was looking into the budget and I found out that my position at the agricultural school makes $15,000 more than I make. And the position below mine makes $5,000 more than our custodians. I also figured too is that Norfolk County, at least our maintenance department, is successful because we provided services throughout COVID-19. I myself was exposed 3 times to COVID-19 with the custody, other was employees, which we also have to clean up after COVID-19. In the beginning of COVID-19, there were no masks available. I actually purchased masks for myself online, and they mock them up big time, like you're paying 5 times the amount. I gave 2 masks to everybody in my building, along with having masks for myself, because I figured if I kept them safe from getting COVID, I kept myself safe. And we made it through it. We made it through the tough times, and we were able to get the vaccine, and we're moving forward with COVID-19. But I appreciate the commissioners' work towards keeping the county strong. I want the union to assist you in that. I don't think that the way the report was written with the maintenance at the agricultural school is mingled somehow with us. We're totally funded. We do totally different things. They have students. We have the criminal element. We have the public coming into our courthouses. There's a lot of differences between the two groups. I'd like to just end on, I'd like to get into the report later, but I want to move on. So I know you guys had a lot of business. But during the beginning of the pandemic, I was reapplying to get my house refinanced. It saved me a lot of money, low percentage rate. I did really well at 3%. And I was told that as long as the registry remains open, your mortgage will go through. And I'm like, everything's closed. We're in trouble, except the courthouses. They continue to do business. As long as the registry remains open, I'm all set. And I was happy to say the registry remained open. I'd like to thank the county commissioners and the register of deeds for making that happen. I was able to refinance my mortgage. And I know in the report, it talks a little bit about the services that Norfolk County provides. And the registry provided a service I didn't really think about until I refinanced my house and the need for it. And it's sort of like having a police department or a fire department in a town. You don't really think about it until your house is on fire or you need the police for something. And I think a lot of our services that we provide in Norfolk County, but the maintenance and providing buildings that fit into the community nice, that people can go to in a safe, clean environment. The state's happy with us because I think we're one of the premier counties. We run it better than the state does for their facilities. And I think a lot has to do with your management and the work you guys do here on the board, and me being one of your employees and the many employees that look up to you to make decisions. The only thing is that when I get involved in the union is to bring that bridge to you as management and the generals who run the county, to bring the workforce in their concerns and their matters to you and be the bridge that makes a county run more efficiently. And I think too, as I noticed that the map that we donated many years ago, I know Peter was commissioner at the time, was an example of how we want to work with you. And it says it's an 1888 map of Norfolk County. Because you guys do a great service to the county. The registry does a great service, our maintenance, and I heard about our engineering doing a great job for the towns. Let's continue that, but let's be careful, because when we don't fill these positions in the maintenance department, like they're not being filled, I'm a little confused because I thought we were 100% funded by the state. So what's the problem? We're not like the agricultural school with the burdens of what education costs these days. We're funded. So there shouldn't be a problem. My concern is when we drop below the amount of people we need to do the building. I work alone in my building until the one guy comes in at night and does that building. But every now and then we're required to move something. It's nice to have an extra person help you. We needed 4 people for deep cleaning within the building. You have to recruit them from Dedham, and we need the work. And I think the report was really wrong at saying they were overstaffed. That's ridiculous. And I thank you for giving me the time to speak. I'm sorry I took up more time.
No.
I know you got a lot on your plate, but thank you very much for giving me time to speak.
Thanks for coming in, Kevin.
Did you want to share
Kevin,
anything
what-
in writing with the commissioners?
No, I intend to do it later. I'll go through you. That's fine.
He says I heard about it. All right, and I hope this is just the beginning of feedback and back and forth, because later today, after we're complete with today's submission, which is not maintenance, we're gonna accept the complete product, and I think we're willing, I know we're willing, there's gonna be a lot of back and forth, and a lot of feedback. A lot of this is gonna be built around the 2023 budget. So it isn't gonna happen next week. This is gonna happen before Thanksgiving, but the feedback's gonna start immediately, and in fact, with your presence here, it has started, so that's a good thing, and we'll stay on the right side of it. But you'll receive everything we receive, so,
Great. Thank you
Well,
again for your
anytime.
help. I appreciate it.
okay.
Just real quick,
Thank you. Go ahead.
just wanted to add, just really quick, Mr. Chairman, through you, just that
Sure.
we're all going to be looking at the report very carefully. We're just getting it, and it's all fresh eyes, and we're going to be looking at it and vetting it, and we're going to be part of that process as well. And I don't think the non-filling of those positions is anything delivered by our end. I think talking to John McGowan, sometimes it's a lack of candidates. We need people to come
Right.
forward, so we're not deliberately not filling those positions, regardless of the report, 'cause they would have been filled temporarily, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we're just trying to get people to apply, so. But we'll talk more. Good, thank you for
I
coming in,
understand that
and,
you guys are running the county, not the report, and I think you use it as a tool to assist you in doing that. But I know the ultimate decision comes up to the commissioners. I feel that the commissioners, I know Commissioner Collins goes back a long way. I think we started when I was first president. You were selectman. We go back when you're, county commissioner. And I think you've always been for labor. You've been helping the people. And we represent our families in Norfolk County. And I would like that to continue. And I just appreciate you guys looking out for us. And hopefully that will continue. And I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, moving right along. Number 7, we have our final appointment, not forever, but the foreseeable future with the Abrahams Group. And today we're going to hear from Mark and his team about the last 2 deliverables, which I learned this word through this whole process, so that's good. I've never used it before, but that's a good word. On our best practice review, so I'm going to ask Mark to come up, and today we're going to be receiving and getting a presentation relative to the treasurer, county treasurer, and the registry of deeds. Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, those that are zooming in. We are presenting the final piece of our operations review, staffing review. As the chairman has said, today we're going to be presenting the registry and the treasurer, and then about a 3-page summary to try to pull a lot of these thoughts together. So very briefly, about a year ago, the county commissioners issued an RFP to do a variety of items as part of this project. We presented.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you.
You can do it.
Yes.
Oh,
Our scope included 5 areas that we had presented before, the first 4. Today, we're going to finalize the operations and staffing analysis. We presented our operation review findings and recommendations in 3 phases. The first phase was back in August with respect to the multi-year forecasting, financial policies, capital planning. In September, we presented 13 departments as part of the operations and staffing review, plus the regional services review. And today, we're completing the operations and staffing analysis for the registry, treasury, and then a summary. We have updated your table of contents to include number 14, 15, and 16. So let's begin. So each of these departments, we have the benchmarking data, the tables of organization, and then our findings and recommendations. So with respect to the registry, we have the benchmarking for Norfolk County on the left, Bristol County in the middle, and Plymouth County on the right. The Registry of Deeds office in Norfolk has significantly more staff and a larger budget than the other 2 counties. Norfolk County spends more in personal services, which is code 1 on those charts, than the other 2 counties. The salaries are higher than the other 2 counties. Other costs, categories 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are in line. We presented previously tables of organizations in other departments. We'll present several tables of organizations for the registry. This is the upper management one. There are several departments that constitute the registrar's office. Land court is one. Customer services, scanning, plan room, and combined recording and data processing. So taking collectively, those 3 or 4 slides show you the table of organizations. So let's get into some of the findings and recommendations that we have for the registrar's office. This slide presents what is called documents processed. It's a combination of land documents, register documents, and plan documents. And you'll notice that in 2017, there were about 160,000 documents processed at the registry, which dipped down to about 136,000 in fiscal 19 and began increasing to 160,000 and now 206,000 for fiscal 21. And look at the percent increases on the left. A lot of documents are processed, particularly in the last 2 fiscal years. we compared Norfolk County, which is highlighted on the screen, to 13 registrars statewide, data provided by the Secretary of State's office. And we have a few slides here that look at those comparisons. So on the left are the 13 state registries and Norfolk County. To its right are the number of documents processed by each of the registries, the same type of documents we just described earlier. The number of staff in the middle, and then doing some math, transactions per staff, fiscal 21, 20, and 19. And you'll see Norfolk County right in the middle in terms of total documents processed, and then transactions per staff at roughly about 4,600 for fiscal 21, 3,500 for fiscal 20, and 3,000 for fiscal 19. And then on the bottom, there's averages, and you'll see that Norfolk County is higher in terms of documents processed and transactions per staff for all years, except for fiscal 19 on transactions per staff. A lot of data here, and we've sliced and diced this data in several ways. Number two, county comparison salaries. And you'll see Norfolk County highlighted in the middle there. This is the same 13 counties plus Norfolk on the left, the same documents processed. And now we're looking at the number of staff and the annual salary. And the math here on the far right is salaries per document. What's the total cost of salaries per the documents processed? And you'll see that Norfolk County is right about in the middle, lower than the statewide average for both 21, 20, and 19. So they rank 8th in this analysis. And you'll notice also toward the bottom here, Worcester South, Middlesex South, Hampshire, Middlesex North, Suffolk, and Essex South all have achieved lower salaries per document processed. The Secretary of State's office provided some fiscal 22 budget and salary data and positions for upper management. And you'll see here that Norfolk County has the most as defined by first, second, or third registers, land court technical assistant, and information technology. So combining all of those upper management, Norfolk County is the highest at 5, followed by Hampton and Essex South at 4, and then the others trickle down. This chart shows the larger counties with respect to documents processed. So we looked at documents processed greater than 100,000 per year. And you'll see Middlesex South, it's a leader at 341,000, over 100,000 documents processed more in 21 than Norfolk County, and you could see the rest.
That's the number.
You'll see the number of staff with Middlesex South, the highest at 51 compared to Norfolk County at 45. And you'll see the salaries there, 2.8 for Middlesex South
Just checking.
and Norfolk at 3.1.
Bad.
And look to the far right, salaries per document. Norfolk County is the highest at 15, 20, and 23 for fiscal 21, 20, and 19 respectively. And the others process documents at less salaries per document than Norfolk County. So when we compare Norfolk County statistics, and we cut it several ways compared to the counties that process large volumes of documents, other counties are more efficient. And how can these counties achieve greater processing efficiencies greater than Norfolk County? So our main recommendation on these data is that Norfolk County further benchmark itself to Middlesex South, Worcester South, Essex South, and Suffolk counties to understand better why these counties can process documents more efficiently. And we firmly believe that benchmarking can provide further insights and understanding and can be a valuable learning experience. And we're suggesting that the county begin with Middlesex South as they process far more documents with greater efficiency. Number two, we looked at some of the fund balances maintained by the register. And on the left, you'll see three bolds there. On the top is Norfolk County, in the middle is Bristol County, and on the bottom is Plymouth County. This is a different set of data than you saw on the previous slides. This came off the audited statements for fiscal 19, fiscal 14, and fiscal 09, trying to give a breadth of 10 years or so of history here and trends. And you'll see under each county, the deeds excise fund balance, then the technology fund balance, and then their budgeted expenditures. And then you'll see some percentages here. Deeds excise percent of budget, technology is a percent of budget. And if you go back to earlier discussions and presentations we had with you, we were looking at national standards for the percent of fund balance as a percent of expenditures. And you'll see for Norfolk County, the deeds excise for fiscal 19 is quite high at over 100% higher. The technology fund balance is around 7%. And you can compare that to the deeds excise percent of budget and the technology percent of budget for Bristol County and Plymouth County. And
Mark, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
I don't want to wreck your train of thought because you're on a nice roll, but so I'm looking at the technology percentage of budget for Norfolk. So in 09, it's 27%. In 2014, it's 92%. And now it's 7%. And is that an anomaly or is it actually 7? Because I'm looking at the other counties also, and they're at, 70%, 60%, 80%, and 7% just seems like it's out of line.
yeah, well, I pulled them off the financial statements, and these are audited financial statements. So I believe they're correct. There's so much data in here, we always stand to be corrected. I can double check that for you.
Yeah, I just, because that one just kind of jumps out. It doesn't seem consistent with the rest of the board.
All right, so it's not necessarily the percent, it might be the technology fund balance that drives that percent.
And we don't know why that number dropped precipitously in
That
5
is
years.
correct. I just pulled the numbers off the financial statements. DOR reporting. There's no real recommendation here. I just want to point out that there is a massive effort by the registry to report tons of financial data to DOR. They must have these reports submitted by the 10th of the month following the month that was closed. In each of the 3 years that we looked at, the registrar signed off on the reports by the 10th day of the following month. And we just note that there were 2 types of transactions on the CPA surcharge that were not reported for a couple of months. And also, the registry receipts reported to the state over the 3-year period grew substantially. In the report, there's several charts of these data, too big to put on the screen here. So I would refer you to the report when you have the time to read it. So we have a few other recommendations that Dave King will speak about, and then we'll get into the treasurer's office.
These are some observations that we made in interviewing staff and getting to understand the organization of the registry. In the plan room organization, are you going to move the slides?
Yeah.
Okay. The plan room operation is very similar to the scanning department's operation, with the only difference being that the plan room handles plans and scanning handles normal size documents. The plan room has one administrator, the director of administrative services, supervising one principal clerk. The plan room's director of administrative services has a secondary role away from the plan room, monitoring press clippings for the registry. He has experience in public relations in the previous position of the Norfolk Sheriff's Department. Our recommendation is that the plan room as a department, the department be eliminated and merged into scanning. The plan room principal clerk would become part of the scanning staff under the head administrative clerk of scanning. Given that the plan room does not have a backlog and scanning does, the plan room principal clerk can help reduce the backlog. We recommend the plan room's director of administrative services be assigned to customer service department where his clippings role and public relations expertise may better fit. This would allow for the elimination of a management position in customer service. The customer service department. Customer services performs community outreach to inform Norfolk County residents of the services provided by the Register of Deeds. In a normal year, they spend about 80% of their time on the community outreach and about 20% of their time servicing customers at the registry, answering phone calls and responding to mail and email requests. Customer service visits each of its members' communities, town, or city hall at least once a year. However, this outreach is not coordinated with the county's regional services initiatives. We recommend that the Director of Customer Services and the Assistant County Director discuss the coordination of the Register's community outreach initiatives with the county's regional services efforts.
So if you recall, last time we presented the regional services, and if you recall, they had tremendous customer satisfaction responses from the member communities. This is a different type of outreach by the Register, but it just hasn't been coordinated through the other regional services initiatives.
And I think it too is very popular with the cities and towns. Lack of printers. Based on our interviews with the employees, not the employers, the scanning department lacks printers. There are 4 people sharing one printer. Many times printed copies are intermingled with the other documents, which causes inefficiencies, and sometimes they're standing in line to wait for a printer. We recommend the Register procures printers to provide a more efficient way of printing documents. Document verification is 6 to 8 weeks behind. Verification is the final step of, in the recording process. The initial recording is current. All documents received must be recorded on the day received, and that's happening. Scanning is performed on day 2. All documents must be scanned by day 2, and that also is happening. Verification currently takes 6 to 8 weeks to complete that process. As of this writing, documents scanned on August 2nd, 2021 were being verified. We recommend that the Register develop a plan to address the verification backlog. Reporting relationships. This is reporting with staff. Reporting relationships are generally clear at the department level. That is the department heads and their employees. That relationship seems to be clear. Reporting relationships between departments to upper management is not as clear, particularly with reporting to the first and second assistant registers. We recommend the Register publish a table of organization that provides clear reporting relationships. Operational review issues. We issued 46 job analysis questionnaires, JAQs, to Register staff. We received 16 completed JAQs, a 35% return rate, far below our normal 80% response rate in other operational reviews we've conducted. We rely on the JAQ to provide critical employees input to the operational review process. We wonder why the response rate was so low. From the input we have received, we sense a degree of staff dissatisfaction, an atmosphere of micromanagement where there is little incentive to perform well. We also note that the different managers have different fiscal year 2022 salaries with different spans of control. Some examples, the head administrative assistant for recording and data processing departments earns about $79,000 and supervises 15 clerks. The director of administrative services for the plan room earns about $89,400 and supervises 1 clerk. The Director of Support Services for the Customer Services Department earns about $87,600 and supervises 2 clerks. We recommend an independent study be conducted to look at individual performance and registry staff morale and satisfaction to see if this is a systematic issue or expression of a few employees. This study should also look at classification issues to address the salary and span of control noted above.
So in summary, the registry processes an incredible number of documents, second only to Middlesex South for the registries that we look at. Part of the demand on the registry is the housing market and low interest rates, which has resulted in larger volumes of documents, particularly deeds and refinancing documents. The tables of organization are not necessarily clear, particularly the reporting relationship staff and management. Registry salaries, staffing, and management positions are higher than most, if not all, of the other registries analyzed, and document processing results are lower than other registries based on several metrics. The registry and county would benefit from the classification study and would benefit from the further benchmarking analysis as described herein.
That's a question.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I'm
Commissioner.
gonna wait till he's all done.
Well, he's
No,
up to the
let's
treasury
do
now, so.
registry
okay.
now,
All right. Okay.
whatever you want.
Yeah, he's under the treasury, so if you have something about the registry, that'd be great.
Yeah, I did have a registry question, just a general one. So we all know, all of us know, when you conduct a study, if your information perhaps is flawed, you can taint it the way you want. I'm bothered by the fact that on page 13 of the registry report, if you want to flip back to that, you can, but you didn't include Plymouth County and Bristol County. I see Essex, I see all these other counties, but where's Plymouth, where's Bristol? We're working on an opera with these counties, and yet they weren't included in the study. And then later they were included for the excise deed revenue. I understand that. But they weren't included when you were comparing salaries and things like that.
The number of documents.
Yeah, that wasn't included. There was no Plymouth, no Bristol. It just jumped out at me.
We did not receive that data from the 2 counties.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's.
Did you ask for it?
Yes.
Okay. That's unfortunate. That's all. I think it's unfortunate. We're partnering up with them for opera and we're moving forward together. I was looking forward to seeing, comparing apples to apples, orange to orange. I have more of a feel as a lawyer.
And we're
with those
recommending
counties.
that the benchmarking continue.
Okay,
And maybe you can include the other 2 counties.
okay. Yeah, there was a lot of data missing, even with Plymouth County on the excise deed. There was no information, right?
There's a lot of data
Okay,
in this report.
Okay.
We try to really highlight succinctly the key data elements.
okay. Just wanted to make a note of it, that's all. I would have liked to have seen those 2 counties included. You know, I understand getting the data is easier to access, like you said. And some of those counties aren't like counties like us. You know what I'm saying? They're different operations, but I would like to have seen those.
Commissioner stating multiple attempts were made to contact the Register of Deeds in both those counties.
Okay,
I believe, Mr. Abrahams, you can speak to this, but I believe you were successful in speaking to other staff in those counties beyond the Register of Deeds to collect administrative information, including staffing and salaries. But transactional data associated with the register was not forthcoming. Is that correct?
Is that, if you can't get it there, can you get it from the Secretary of State?
No, because the Secretary of State has the data for those counties that
That they oversee.
that they oversee.
Right, okay.
And that's where we source the other county information from the extinct counties from, the
Okay.
Secretary of State's office.
So, Commissioner, absent the Bristol and Plymouth, we turn to the Secretary of State to get some data so you could have at least some type of comparison to county process.
right.
And my understanding, Dick, maybe you have a different feel for this, but my understanding is the registry is a registry. So even if it's a county-run registry or a state-run registry, it's still a registry, it's still doing the same tasks. That was my understanding.
Yeah, duly noted. Yeah, you're right. In terms of functionality, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was thinking the salaries and benefits and the way they run or whatever, but you're right. But I would have, just because I'm familiar with both those. I've been to the Plymouth Registry several times. I have a feel for it. Bristol, we've been in. It would be great to see those included to help us is formulating that, but,
And
you know,
Bristol's different too, because it actually has three
It
registries.
has three registries,
Yeah.
So you'd have to kind of combine them all, right?
yeah,
Fall River, Taunton, and New Bedford.
yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's the only point I had.
Good question.
No, that's all,
Yeah.
that's the question I had on that one. Yeah, thank you.
So Treasury. We're presenting this two ways. One, the operation review, and two, because they handle the accounting of and financial reporting of the county, the management letter comments, which was a main concern as part of your RFP. So we're going to talk about Treasury operations first, and then the management letter comments. Again, the benchmarking, Norfolk County, Bristol in the middle, Plymouth on the right. The Treasurer's Office in Norfolk County has one more staff than Plymouth County, same as Bristol. Norfolk County Treasurer spends more on personal services than the other two counties. Since the benchmarking exercise, the Records Compliance Officer position was eliminated as fiscal 22 budget. Norfolk County's salary scale is higher than the other two counties, and other costs are in line. A simple TO with payroll, accounts payable, and accounting. There are 7 findings and recommendations that we have on Treasury's operations separate from the management letter comments. Some of these are technical accounting stuff, so I'll be very light with you on the technical side. Remember when we talked about the best practices in budgeting? There is a best practice in financial reporting. It's called the annual comprehensive annual report. The county produces the basic statements for the auditors and for you to have audited financial statements. The annual comprehensive report is a step beyond that. And the county, in our view, should prepare the annual comprehensive annual report, get the GFOA Excellence in Financial Reporting Certificate, similar to the recommendation we made on the budget, to get the meritorious budget awards. And that's going to take some time to get to. So we're saying over the next 3 years. Number 2 and number
But
3.
what does that do for us when we get it? I mean,
It's a gold star. It's a gold star.
I know, it's great, but I mean,
But
does it
it's
have any
like-
direct, we get a better bond rating?
You could.
Would it help us
It's
that way?
recognition of excellence in financial
Okay,
reporting.
great.
The next 2 are technical accounting stuff. There's a general fixed asset account group. There's a general long-term debt account group. The first handles your fixed assets. The second handles your long-term debt. These should be integrated formally into the county's general ledger. And number 4, the prior year unappropriated general fund balance. There's a concept in municipal government called certified free cash. The county really doesn't have a certification process to do that, and we're recommending that the chief accountant develop that certification process so that those are reported to you, and there's a clear understanding of the concept of free cash. What is your general fund unappropriated prior year balance that you can appropriate? Number 5, cash flow. So there is a monthly cash flow report. And given the fact that the registry has to report by the 10th of the following month, Treasury can't get the revenue data. I'm not talking cash, the revenue data from them and from the agricultural high school timely enough to fit it into the monthly cash report. It's reported the following month. So all we're saying is there a way that the agricultural high school and the register could report revenues earlier than the 10th of the following month to expedite and then have that provide a more timely cash flow report? If they can, they'll get a more timely cash flow report. If they can't, then it rolls into the following month like it's doing now. Succession and cross-training. You have a 33-year county accountant who will be retiring soon. Soon, not tomorrow, but in a few years. So the time has come to get succession planning for there. It is a very critical position in county government. And lastly, vendor payments. We've mentioned a number of Infinite Vision's enhancements to make the county more efficient. The county should utilize the vendor electronic payments to improve the efficiency of the payment process. Right now, all the checks are issued basically manually. So in summary of the Treasurer's Office, staffing is reasonable, particularly for internal control purposes. And we're going to talk about internal control as one of the management letter findings shortly. Various accounting functions are properly segregated. Control over cash receipts, which is one of the management letter comments, is a work in progress. Treasury salaries are on the high side when compared to Bristol and Plymouth counties. So there's a great opportunity to strengthen internal control, maximize the use of the existing Infinite Vision software. And many of the enhancements that we have made previously have already been accomplished with the current software, while others will require additional functionality. Questions on Treasury operations before we go into management letter?
Commissioner Stady.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you, of course. I think, I could be wrong, but I thought the treasurer had asked us for approval for an additional staff member, a part-time
Part-time,
person.
yeah.
So was that reflected in here?
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to get you, but I
No,
know
it's in
that,
the report.
that was, is it in the report?
It's in the report.
Okay. It's not listed in the flow chart though, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
Position-
all right. But
Position
that-
is still posted. It's not been filled.
So sorry?
Position just got posted Monday, I believe.
Okay.
It's not been filled.
Okay, great. But it's.
We intend to fill it though, right? Or the treasurer
We
does.
intend to.
Right.
I went under the impression.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So not here, but it's in your report.
It's in the
Okay,
report.
great. No, thank
On the
you.
treasury.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, management letter comments. There are 14 management letter comments, many of which have been repeated year after year. So on the left, you'll see the management letter comment, the description of it. To the right, you'll see the year-ending management letter. So we went back 4 years. Why did we go to 19 and then to 16 for the 4-year period? The fiscal 20 audit is still in progress. It's being wrapped up. So there is no fiscal 20 or 21 management letter as of this date. So in 16, you'll see the 14 management letter comments. And then in 17, you'll see Rs, which means it was resolved, or a number, which means it wasn't resolved. You'll see that 3 were resolved in 17, 2 were resolved in 18, and then there's still some outstanding. So capital assets, these are the auditor's words with respect to issues. They're not our words. This is taken right out of the management letter. So the auditors review the capital asset inventory maintained by the county. That's fixed assets. They reported it as a material weakness. In 2017, they came in and audited. Remember, this is a 16 issue, and they did not find an issue starting in fiscal 17. The county accountant developed a fixed asset inventory in Excel, organized by department, and updates that annually. So the issue has been resolved, but the county still has to continue to be diligent on that. And now that we have a capital planning process, the fixed assets can be a nice input into the capital planning and budgeting process. Number 2, so look at the top. You'll see the issue, and then you'll see a lot of numbers. So that tells you that this has been repeated in 17, 18, and 19. Issue on top, status on the bottom, issue by the county auditors.
Is the numbers up top, excuse me, are those referring to the number of deficiencies or referring to the report?
It's referring to the report
Okay,
and specifically this chart.
okay, I got it.
So
Okay, thank you.
you can cross-reference
Okay.
the numbers to this
I
chart.
see, okay,
So you'll see
Yep.
21526,
got it. Okay,
215.
so something like that's showing up all the time.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's continuous,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
repetitive.
I got it.
Um,
Thank you.
So the county does not fully utilize its computerized financial reporting system and relies on a decentralized reporting system to maintain its accounting records. And it's been reported as a significant deficiency. If you read the auditor's words, it's not really clear what they're driving to. What they're driving to is that the cash reconciliation for the bank statements was not done using the Infinite Vision system. It was done by sidebar Excel spreadsheets. The auditors didn't like it. Infinite Visions came in. They worked with Joe Doria, and the issue has been resolved in our view. But we're waiting on the 20 audit, which the issue wasn't resolved. So this is the conclusion of fiscal 21. The issue may be resolved in 21, but definitely by 22. So understand that these issues go back 16, 17, 18, 19. 20 is in process for the management letter. 21 fiscal year has closed. This was addressed during the fiscal 21 period. So hopefully in the 21 management letter, this will be gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And
All right, Registry of Deeds, decentralized cash account. Another audit finding, all right, management letter finding that has been repeated for several years. These accounts are not under the custody of the county treasurer. And this goes on, but that's really the issue. How do we get these decentralized cash accounts of the Registry of Deeds under the custody of the county treasurer? So we turn to Plymouth County. Plymouth County had the same issue approximately 8 or 9 years ago. They had a finding that the Registry of Deeds accounts were not under the custody of the treasurer. They addressed the issue by having the registrar and the treasurer co-sign on the registrar's account. So they co-sign and then on the account, and they also co-sign on every check that the treasurer issues. So the registrar can see how the accounts are being spent. So we think this is a potential solution to get rid of the management letter, get the accounts under the control of the treasurer, and still give the registrar signature authority on check signing. Those checks are minimal. They're like 1 or 2 a month. So it's not a big deal to sign these checks. The auditors found that there were no documented financial policies and procedures. Simply put, you now have a set of financial policies and procedures. They are in draft for your review. They need to be formally accepted so that this management letter can go away. And I would assume that the financial policies will be updated beyond what we have given you. There'll be other areas to add to the financial policies. But in terms of having a documented set of financial policies, you have that. By the way, and we mentioned this before, the financial policies have been reviewed by the Finance Committee. They requested a couple of changes to the policies. We made those changes, and then the Finance Committee forwarded that to the advisory board. So it's to you in draft and to the advisory board in draft as well. Compensated absences. This is, can the auditors come in, get the compensated absences data so they can report that as a liability on the audited statements? And they had trouble getting that type of data so they could report this back on the audited statements. Fast forward to now, and we mentioned this in a couple of our sections previously. Most departments' leave information are in the Infinite Vision system and are up to date. The agricultural high school data is not, and that needs to be input into Infinite Vision. Once that is done, this finding should go away. But there's another issue. All departments need to be in the Infinite Visions. We just mentioned that. But now accessing the data This is not part of the management letter finding, but we mentioned to you previously, the employee self-service portal of the Infinite Vision system will allow easy access for your employees to view their leave data. Auditors are reviewing the leave data to report it on the financial statements. Employees would like to know what the status of their leave data is, and this will be accessible through the self-service portal. Agricultural high school. So you'll see only 2 repetitive numbers, so the issue has been resolved. It was basically that the student activity accounts for the agricultural high school were not included in the county's accounting records. They were added in fiscal 18. The issue has been resolved. Grant activity. A lot of words up here. Let's make this simple, and you'll see it's repetitive for 4 years. The county receives electronic payments from the state. They go into the general fund. The auditors would like it to go into special revenue funds, where the grant activity is to be accounted for. Treasury makes accounting adjustments because the monies come into the general fund, and then they go through, and you can see the series of entries to move the cash and move the revenues to the proper fund and get it out of the general fund. We think that's fine. The county accountant thinks that's fine, but the auditors have an issue with that. So I'm not saying this will go away, but the process that the county treasurer's office utilizes for this grant activity, to me, as a CPA, is fine. So we're appealing to the independent auditor's professional judgment on this. So this manager letter comment goes away. The alternative might be to get the state to put these different grants electronically into different funds, and that becomes cumbersome. So this seems to be a good way of handling this issue. Number 8, encumbrances. A lot of bullets here. Simply put, the auditors want to make sure that the county is diligent to ensure that encumbrances relate to a good or service that has been ordered rather than just a blanket. That's one issue. The second issue that they had is that the encumbrances don't necessarily close. So in the financial policies, we have a policy that says any open encumbrance that's not contractually related or construction related will be closed on August 31. And then it can be reopened in the next year. But now the county has a policy, if you accept that policy, to close the encumbrance, giving the departments 2 months after the close of the fiscal year, July and August, to clean up these encumbrances. So this will tighten the controls over encumbrances and eventually remove the management letter comment. This is not written up in Treasury. This is written up in the purchasing section, which you have seen previously. Online registry payments.
So any outstanding, can you go back there for a second, if I could, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
So you're saying, you're recommending anything that's an outstanding purchase order, we don't take care of it, by the following fiscal year?
Right.
Okay, I thought it was the same year.
No.
I'm like, holy moly. Okay, following fiscal year,
Following fiscal.
then you got to, okay.
I'm glad we clarified
Yeah,
that.
okay, no problem.
No problem.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right. Online registry payments. It was a finding in 16, and it's gone away. The issue has been resolved. Simply put, there was a variance of 33,000 in the depository account. The variance was taken care of. Issue resolved. Number 10, OPEB trust fund. You'll see that that too got away, has been removed because there's only 2 years of repetitiveness here. Number 10 and number 22. So the investment account was not adjusted to report the balance at fair market. As of June 18, the county's general ledger reported the correct balance in the account, and the issue has been resolved. Unauthorized and unissued debt, repeated for 4 years. So when the county issues debt, that's accounted for as a long-term liability. But the county authorizes debt that has not been issued. And the auditors are questioning the accounting for those debt has been authorized, but not unissued. So I mentioned earlier that the county should set up formally a general long-term debt account group in its accounting system. Authorized and unissued debt would be accounted for in that account group. So once the county sets up the account group for long-term debt, this authorized and unissued debt would be accounted for there, and then this finding manager letter comment would go away. But we're into fiscal 22, so this would be hopefully resolved by fiscal 22, not earlier. Independent contractors. Sorry. Issue in 2016, and that has been resolved. Simply put, the county had not issued 1099s to all vendors that should have received them. The audit firm reviewed this in 2017, and all appeared to have been issued in accordance with regulations, and the issue is considered resolved. Cash receipts. The auditors noted that there's a lack of segregation of duty regarding cash receipts. One individual is responsible for the collection of funds, the deposit of funds, and then posting that to the general ledger. That is an internal control weakness. You shouldn't have the same person handling those 3 functions. The challenge is it's a small staff. There's 5 people, including the treasurer, in the department. And Commissioner, you pointed out that there is a potential adding another position there. So it's a challenge for one person doing all the functions in a small department. So what do? You add needed other layers of internal control. So the Treasury has started to train the accounts payable clerk to do the bank statement reconciliation and other cash-related functions, thus separating the duties there. The county accountant runs revenue and cash reports to prove out and reconcile cash, hopefully another layer of internal control. And these might satisfy the external auditors. Again, these were done fiscal 21, won't be reflected in the 20 management letter, might be reflected in the 21 management letter. And you'll note, Commissioner, Treasury may be hiring a part-time administrative assistant who may be able to assist in addressing this internal control issue. Payroll records. The auditors had difficulty, and this is a repeated comment for 4 years, in terms of getting the correct health, dental, life insurance withholdings for employees. The Infinite Vision software can provide a solution to this. And once the portal is implemented and greater access to leave data and deduction data, again, the Infinite Vision should be able to handle that. So this should continue for at least fiscal 20, fiscal 21, and might be resolved in fiscal 22. So this summarizes where we are in the management letter. Again, many of these enhancements have already been implemented in fiscal 21, and the management letter might reflect that. Many of these are going to wait until fiscal 22 before it's resolved. Financial policies have been written. Infant Division System has additional functionality, and training has been provided to address a number of these issues. For example, the cash bank reconciliation through IV and Treasury. The county will need to monitor these enhancements and policies, and you might want to bring back into the Infant Division to follow up to see how well the recommendations are consistently being implemented, not just in Treasury, but the purchasing recommendations, the HR recommendations that we have made previously. So in summary, this completes our work with Norfolk County. We were asked to do these 5 things that you see up on the screen. Combined, our report is approximately 200 pages with over 100 recommendations. That's a lot to absorb. I just want to highlight a few things here. First, the county should be commended for initiating the study, and you as commissioners commended for your role in initiating the study. By nature of this type of review, the results can be seen negatively. On the other hand, our analysis and our recommendations can give you a strategic direction that you asked for as one of the key items of the RFP to ultimately improve the efficiency and effectiveness of county government. It's a statement that the way the county has conducted business in the past will change. And we have pointed out a number of our recommendations have already been implemented. And we have identified many recommendations for the county to implement. The advisory board recently funded the Infant Divisions initiatives identified in our report. To us, this is the statement of a financial commitment to move the county forward. 2 major transformations are included in our report. Both were addressed last time. First, the transformation of the human resources function. Of all the operation reviews we have conducted, Norfolk County ranks first in our mind in manual processing, and none more than in human resources. So let me repeat this because this is important. It struck us that one of your major problems here to become more efficient was manual processing. And we have made many recommendations to better utilize the Infant Division software to eliminate or reduce the manual processing and become more automated. We mentioned before EPARS, onboarding, and the self-access portal has 3 major Infant Divisions improvements that will minimize the manual processing and maximize the use of the software. To us, this is critical, but it's going to take time to implement that. And it's going to take some effort to implement that. We note that the county should provide the Human Resources Director with additional support. And we also mentioned several times that the county handbook is being updated and will need further updating based on our recommended changes as those changes are implemented. So that's a major transformation of HR. The second major transformation we see is the budget document. We've mentioned to you the GFOA budget criteria. We mentioned to you the ASBO school budget criteria. There are targets that these criteria will improve the budget document. They are laid out so people can understand how to do this. The county just needs to do this. This will take time. This will involve developing department goals. This will develop countywide goals and linking the dollars of the budget to results, a set of performance measures to track the results, and a data system to capture those types of data. And we see this meeting the GFOA criteria, the ASBO criteria in a couple of years. But basically, to transform this into an annual policy statement based on countywide and departmental goals. So two major transformations from our recommendations. We see a set of financial improvements, including the financial policies, a capital planning and budgeting tool, and a financial forecasting methodology, all which gives county a platform to improve financial performance, and Commissioner might give you a higher bond rating. The financial world looks to these types of tools when they do that analysis. But again, you need a manual to document the procedures, to implement the policies. And that should also encompass the infinite visions enhancements. We've given you a first set to our understanding of countywide and departmental organization tables. And we've done benchmarking with Norfolk and Bristol counties, and we're recommending that continue. The benchmarking data is at least a year old, and Bristol, by the way they budget, is going back to fiscal 20. Updating the benchmarking data, I think, is important. And we have benchmarked Norfolk County to 13 registries, and we're suggesting further benchmarking, as we mentioned to you today. And we
Like Bristol and Plymouth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
We've identified and just discussed the management letter comments. We see a county that provides regional services to its member communities, communities that are satisfied with county services, that rate these services very high, and are eager to have the conversation with the county for expanded regional services. And we've identified a number of operational cost savings and revenue enhancements that should, over time, through attrition and the implementation of financial policies, help the county achieve a more balanced budget where ultimately operating revenues finance operating expenditures without relying on surpluses. So in summation, we wish to thank the county for the opportunity to assist in this effort and express our gratitude to county staff for their input and their cooperation. We thank you for the guidance you've provided us and the opportunity to serve the county. Mr. Chairman?
Okay, I'm not sure. I have a little statement I'm going to make, but do we want to open this up to questions now, or are we going to? Commissioner?
I'll be quick.
That's fine.
We're here just while it's fresh. So really quick, first a statement, tremendous amount of information. We know we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We have to process and work through and kind of, I'm sure you're going to touch on that. One question I had, though, you mentioned a portal, so I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So the infinite vision would allow our employees eventually to access their own like sick time and benefits like that. Currently, they don't have that available. It must be like paper, like a
it's all
statement
manual.
or something like that. So is the infinite, just help me educate me a little bit. I know the system I used to work in years ago, they developed something like that where every time you got your check, you had a running total of your sick days, vacation days, things like that. Is that what, something like
City of
that?
Quincy does that.
Yeah, they just did it in Canton. It was years ago. But I mean, is that what this would be? Or like, are you saying allowing to go into the records? You're saying access to the portal. So what you meant?
The former,
Okay, yeah,
but also to request leave through the portal
okay.
as opposed to manual.
Incredible. That's great.
Yeah, and you know, the more people that touch requests,
Right,
the more chance for error.
right.
This eliminates all.
Right, understood. All right, and then a quick statement, just a statement.
Very briefly,
Very brief.
Commissioner,
I
to
have one
that
too.
point,
Yeah.
your board and the advisory board funded the improvement to the software Mr. Abrahams is speaking
Yeah,
to
which is great.
as a result of last week's vote.
Fantastic.
So that information will be forthcoming next
Right.
week when you hear from Mark McDonald on the plan for the rollout of that tool. Sorry for your.
Well, I see Superintendent Martin coming in. We know we have a trustee
We're going to
meeting
make the
later.
3 o'clock.
But
I
it seems that
guarantee.
some of these things here, it points to the need for our business manager, whoever that is, to be on the same page as well.
I highlighted too.
We were on the same page here, Joe.
Yeah, I highlighted too.
Yeah, I was checking them off. I'm like, wow, you know. But
Peter?
thank you.
Yes, I did have a comment. So you've completed your your summary. You completed the whole program. Thank you. You did a great job.
Yeah,
And
thank
you did provide a ton of information. So you were also short some information. It looked like you had some more things to follow up on. So are there more tasks for you to handle for us? I thought, I know this project is complete for now, but it looked like you were still working on that. Is that correct or is that not correct?
We'd like to think we're done. We-
I can't imagine why.
We got 200 pages for you today, and we've got the capital plan, the capital budget, the financial forecast, we've got the financial policies. That's a lot of effort, and that's a lot of deliverables to you.
Sure.
All right.
And was I wrong? I thought that there was just more things I mean, I was looking at Bristol and Plymouth, how you didn't get the data. If we're able to get that data, would you be able to incorporate that into your final version?
You want to speak to that?
Briefly through you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So I think it's important to note that the attempts were made repeatedly against an extended timeline to gather as much information as possible. That was successful when we extended the deadline to retrieve the state-driven information from the Secretary of State's office, the Registry of Deeds. I don't plan on getting additional information regarding Plymouth and Bristol in the coming months, based on the communication that we had relative to our previous request for this information.
Okay. All right.
But to your point, Commissioner, if I may briefly make a remark relative to the report and some of the iterativeness of this deliverable, there are changes or corrections that will be made as we delve into the details. And I don't know if you want to address the IT piece today, but there was one item that was noted in the information technology piece that came out on August 22nd. Excuse me, that came out in September. Excuse me. That mentioned that Bristol and Plymouth County Registry of Deeds staff did not have IT department or IT staff. That was an erroneous statement. The updated form has been submitted by Mr. Abrahams today, and letters of correction are being mailed to the respective Registry of Deeds. That sort of thing may emerge, Peter, over the next several months as we get into these details. It's unavoidable given the amount of volume of information that we may encounter. Some errors in information that need to be corrected.
But I would assume that you'd anticipate that there would be some things to be corrected.
I would as well, but I think the message is something we'll have to dwell on. The details, however, will need to be shined up, obviously, but I have no expectation of any additional information from Bristol and Plymouth at this point regarding the Registry of Deeds data.
Okay. It isn't my intention to squelch any of this talk today. I just want to make a statement, and then I think the statement will speak for itself. I think with our newfound relationship with some of these counties that we ought to be able to come up with a copy of the printed budget, plus that gives you the personnel, plus if we could just get a number of, for instance, transactions. I looked at a transaction number. In my mind, I equate employees to transactions. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I think we could give it another go. I mean, we certainly come a long way. And having said all that, I want to say now, on behalf of the Norfolk County Commissioners, I want to thank you, Mark, and your team for your final deliverables. Clearly, the breadth and depth of this material will take us some time to review and to adopt any number of these recommendations, many of which will likely are going to have to play out in the 23 budget. I think it's the best place to roll it into. We encourage all stakeholders to share their thoughts and feedback with the commissioners over the next several months. Feedback is critical for us to understand how we can benefit from these recommendations and move the county forward. Our commitment to this process was clear when we began this work over a year ago. I think to review our organization, this work has been to review our organization from one end to the other, explore best practices and benchmarking against our peers and other organizations, confront the tough decisions that may have to be made for more efficient and smarter about the way we conduct our business, And finally, to demonstrate to our cities and towns our commitment as elected officials we can deliver on improving the way that we serve them. While this presentation provides closure on the deliverables from this contact, the work is just beginning. I join with my commissioners in knowing the work starts now and take steps to move forward in a deliberate and meaningful way, seeking constant improvement for the good of Norfolk County. So that's an official statement I thought I wanted to make. I was grappling with this, but I think a couple of times in the last couple of years, I've talked about the budget. In my mind, the budget, I've never been a gardener, but I always equated it into people that have a vegetable garden, that you're constantly weeding it and you're constantly working with it and changing and watering it. Like I equate trying to implement portions, none. I don't want to say none. I think some of them can be done almost automatically. I was a bad basketball player when I was a kid, but it's the only sport I really played. I would always take the easy things first. I think there's a number of things in here that we can do first. That's common, not common sense, but it maybe was just never done before. Then you're going to get into the nitty gritty. So I'm anxious. We're going to provide this to everyone.
That's Mr. Chairman.
Different people have different thoughts, but
My thought too is like, where do we go from here? We got
Yeah.
this great data and, your great statement by you. We appreciate all your work you did, but if we don't do anything with it, shame on us as well.
well, I don't want it to be a door hole. I don't want it to be a
Yeah.
door stop, and I don't
Yeah.
want it to be fireplace fuel, but
Yeah. Would it make sense? Maybe this is a suggestion, and we got time, we can kick this around, but, certain departments were targeted in the study. Would it make sense in the next couple of months before the budget process actually kicks in to maybe meet informally or formally with those departments and just say that? the treasurer-
absolutely,
and maybe
absolutely.
somebody
I think formally. I
kick it
mean,
around,
what do you think?
Get them on our agenda, talk to them.
Something that always happens to me here.
Yeah,
When we get into things, someone say, "This is the first I heard of this."
yeah,
Oh, I wasn't contacted. It drives me crazy, and this is across the board.
right, okay.
I've done that myself
Just
in my
suggest that, maybe we
public career to avoid talking about things,
Yeah.
but
bring it up. I mean, we can,
here it is.
we'll get the easy stuff, like you said, we can take care of. Some of the more difficult things we can talk about and vet through.
Well, that's why I meant if we could do some of the,
Yeah,
to relieve this management letter, I think is that 2020 audit around the corner, up the street, where is it? I don't
More
know.
around the corner. Next,
Around the corner.
probably later this month, we should expect to
Okay.
see it.
Yeah.
That's another set of eyes. It's a newer firm for us. We had them in the distant past, but let's see what that says. But I have no intention of, not trying to get another set of eyes. And that is not, some people only concentrate on the negative. This is not a negative place, and this is not a negative board, and nor should it be.
Yeah.
But we have things to do. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Commissioner Stady's remarks, I was along the same line of thinking that, especially given today's deliverable associated with the elected officials, I think it would be very appropriate to welcome both the treasurer and the registrar in separate times
Mhm.
to have an open dialogue about the recommendations that the Abrams Group has put forward. And if any concerns emerge, what are those concerns? If any resources are needed, what resources are they? And task the elected official with drafting a response and or a plan associated with this recommendation so that we can work collaboratively with them towards a solution.
Right. For instance,
Yeah.
I didn't read the engineering portion. I didn't read, I read maintenance and obviously treasurer. We'll start with the engineer, get warmed up, go from there to, and then bring maintenance in, then bring, build it as you go. But.
But I do see it as a great asset for our budget preparation too. And again, just a lot jumps out at me, but you recommended that the registry get more printers, right? Because it's a backup. So when you prepare your budget, you should want to include those in.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, just ideas like that, that's all. But other things I'm sure will come up as well. So, all right, good.
You guys did a fabulous job.
Yeah, it's a lot,
You really did.
a lot.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's a
God.
big effort.
Yes, yeah, good work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joe, let's take a break. That was a
1
long
minute
time.
though, because
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
get,
we'll
we're gonna,
come back.
we're
We
gonna
have
start
our
the
meeting at
school
3.
right at 3.
Right,
Right.
just give it a 1 minute,
All right, we're in a 1 minute recess. We'll be back.
Oh,
just for a minute.
okay, sure.
Thank you. You stay there. It's okay. All right, man. I believe we're on item number 9, personnel matters for consideration. Commissioner Stady.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my pleasure. Well, my job, I suppose. I'll move the following. With notice of resignation of Marissa James of Sharon, Mass. as a substitute instructor, and also a notice of resignation of Paul Z. Ferraro of Walpole as substitute instructor, both effective 9/30/21.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant the request for 2 notice of resignations at the agricultural school of substitute teachers. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Mr. Chairman, just point of order. Did we cover old business? Did we neglect that? I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. if we
I did miss it. I'll go to it next. I got 3 more
Sure, no problem.
personnel.
All right, move the following notice for contingent employment of Kate Lanza of Rentham, Mass. as substitute instructor effective 10/7/21.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to hire Kate Lancer as a substitute instructor at the agricultural school. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wallace and Recreation.
Yes, sir. Make a motion of a notice for contingent employment for Lily Shansina of Randolph, Mass. Hope I got that correct, as a seasonal pro shop employee effective 10/7/21.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant the request for contingent employment for seasonable employee in the pro shop at Wallace. All in favor?
Aye.
Numbers going back to 8, old business. Director Cronin.
No old business.
No, I have none either. We're going to now jump to number 10, payroll and expense warrants.
All right, Mr. Chairman, if you will, I'll move the following. Line item 22-14, payroll of the county, in the amount of $140,495.44. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Next, I'll move for payroll for the school, 22-14, parentheses 7, the amount of $330,450.38. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Third, for Walton Recreational Facility credit card payment, I'll move line item 10-421, the amount of $36,610. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And final one, Mr. Chairman, expense for the county of 10/1/22, the total amount of $207,968.88. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
That
you.
concludes
Payroll
that.
expense warrants done. Number 11, bid openings, we have none. Number 12, contract award.
Right.
Pine sawdust for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options. We had 1 applicant at the agricultural school. I'd like to award it. Nancy, I thought she was sitting there.
Yeah, the amount of money, whatever it is.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, fine.
It's like
Nancy, we're under the sawdust, and this is an
The
important
sawdust, yes.
because we have the director, Martin, here, and we have the chairman of the board here for this award.
And those far need to sleep.
That's right.
Pine sawdust, Nancy. What
Yes.
say you?
This is contract with AW Gray Mountain Trucking for, it's a 3-year contract, for $1,600 per every 100-yard load delivered and unloaded.
Okay, any discussion? They're only been the past, we do business with them for a while,
Yes, several years.
several years. Okay.
Never a problem.
Good.
The
So-
horses like they've been.
Can we move it?
Sure.
Yeah, I move that we award the contract for pine sawdust for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew for the amount listed, what was it, $1,600 per 100 yard,
For 100-yard.
delivered and unloaded. All right? Good.
Second.
Motion to move the payroll, to move the awarding of the contract for the pine sawdust at the Norfolk County Agricultural School. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
All right,
Thank you. We'll sign that.
sign here.
Yes.
Thank you, Nancy.
There's a second page on that too.
Number 13,
One.
August trial balance
page.
for approval. We have a copy in our packet of the trial balance.
Okay,
Should.
all right. Take care of that. Get your horses to sleep now.
That's it.
In your packet, it's the trial balance for the month of August.
Right.
dated August 31st. I believe everything's in order. Director, do you have any comments?
I do not on the two.
It's on the,
provided.
Oh, good.
that's the same one that's in our
Good,
packet.
Good, yeah.
If you have a motion to approve, that'll be great.
Do we approve that? Is that?
We do.
Okay. All right, move that we approve the trial balance as submitted to us through the date of 8/31. Is that correct? 8/31/2021?
That's correct.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the August trial balances as shown and approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Personnel form update. Last week, we received from Michelle Labadini, a new blue paper, as we call them, for lack of a better term. Some updates and some changes. It was taken under advisement. I hope you've all had a chance to look at it. And I'm going to ask Michelle for her brief comments on this, and then we'll go from here. Michelle.
Good afternoon. So thank you for looking at this form. We took some time and looked at it and updated it because we wanted to redesign it and make it more user-friendly. A section has been incorporated to include required documents in an effort to adhere to our current policies and onboarding requirements to make sure all departments are following the same procedures. The blue paper and all attachments will need to be received in the HR office 1 week before the blue paper is presented to the county commissioners for a vote. And I will send the required forms, to an updated blue form to all departments. All the forms that we require attached to the form, as well as the updated form, so everyone will have the updated form.
So each department will get a copy of it, and then we have approved it as of this date.
Yes, if it's approved today, I will send it out to all departments, as well as what we require for the attachments, so they know what we're looking for.
Okay, any questions, Commissioner?
Looks fine. I'd move approval of the new or revised Norfolk County Personnel Status Form as presented and prepared by our HR Director.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah,
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. John Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Regarding the American Rescue Plan Act status for Norfolk County, I can announce that the Norfolk County ARPA portal is the next line for activation by Clifton Larson Allen. Norfolk County, as you may know, was the second county to elect to join this program behind Plymouth. Plymouth County, to whom we are in partnership along with Bristol and Barnstable, went live last week, opened their portal and began accepting applications. And we are scheduled to do so next. I have an onboarding meeting tomorrow afternoon with Clifton Larson to go through the various items that they will need to register each community in Norfolk County as a recipient of funds. That onboarding will include the necessity for a primary and a secondary authenticator and applicant. We will need DUNS numbers. We will need specific information which we made known to the communities to go forward with the next step. We do expect at this point that the portal could be open as early as next week. So we will move quickly to notify all of the communities who've been waiting. We've been getting calls from folks interested in knowing what's the status. But our hope is that this phase of the activation will be underway as early as next week, time to be determined. My hope also is that shortly after that activation, we may have another town hall Zoom with elected officials and appointees, if you will, associated with the grant side from the community so that they understand if any questions with the use of the portal, we can collectively work with them. So we're staying in touch with our stakeholders. Things are going along pretty well so far. And as far as I'm concerned, we may be looking at activation as early as next week. And I don't have a date right now, but things are moving along pretty good.
It's fantastic.
Any questions?
That's great.
Thanks, Joe.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 16, report on COVID-19 responses. Director Cronin.
Just one item, the vote of this board to require all unvaccinated individuals in county buildings was posted last week following your meeting. So such notice is now available to the public for any individuals who work in our buildings that are unvaccinated to please wear a mask at all times.
Excellent. I noticed it when I came in today, close to the elevator. Have we had no feedback, no comment?
No, sir.
But it went out there,
Everywhere.
includes the golf. course,
I
correct?
did.
Okay. Number 17, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an update regarding some of the items you've approved. The employee evaluation for non-union staff is underway. I completed the final interview or interaction with the department heads this week. We explained the process, gave them the forms to complete. They are also, where these individuals have subordinates that are non-union, were instructed to also complete the forms. As you may recall, each employee will be completing 3 goals associated with guiding principles that this board approved. Things are underway. I will report excellent feedback. It was a pleasure meeting with all of them. They all understand their goals are to help elevate overall the condition and space of Norfolk County and our services. So it's underway. It's going well. All transfers associated with the supplemental appropriation that was approved by the advisory board last week have now been completed in budget sense. Commissioner Stady brought up the Quincy District Court earlier. I'm pleased to report that DCAM has assigned and approved the site assessor for the Quincy District Court. Her name is Guinevere Reynolds, if I'm not mistaken, and she is looking to be on site in Quincy next week to begin her work. We'll report back with any updates that may be relevant. A reminder to the commissioners, next week at noon on October 13th, Norfolk County will be honoring the late Francis O'Brien, the commissioner, with a dedication outside this office across the street at the corner of Old River Place and High Street.
What day is that, sorry?
That is Wednesday, October 13th at noontime.
Okay.
Meeting to follow. I think we moved the posting, the meeting back to.
We did. We'll
1:30.
probably move the posting to approximately 1:45.
Okay.
Given the time.
Okay, 1:45.
2 other brief updates. The treasurer's office has called a meeting of the OPEB trust that will be held on October 12th. And according to the contract with the public, with the PEC committee, we'll be looking to hold our first meeting to start the negotiations on that matter as early as October 15th next week. Finally, just as a matter of clarification, Michelle wanted me to let folks know that based on the presentation by Mr. Abrahams, that the county currently has the ability to track time on pay stubs. But to your point earlier, Commissioner Stady, this is more of an electronic access into that view, but they do have that information. That is all I have. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Excellent. Number 18, emergency items that the chair did not reasonably anticipate. I have none. We have a minute or two, but we can adjourn and prepare ourselves for a school board meeting if you want. Do we have anything else? I have nothing.
Just to reiterate, I think the Abraham Group did a really good job. It took a long time, and it's an awful lot for us to look at. We can only get better. All of this will make the county better. That's what it's all about. But I think, again, we should think about and maybe frame out an outline of who we want to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, it's only my suggestion. If we do this
Take whatever you want. You're the
easy,
chairman.
when I say easier, it's generally the
Yeah,
smaller ones.
go with engineering and then bring in
Sure.
maybe
And then-
maintenance, but we want
You
to,
know,
I'd like to get treasury sooner rather than later.
Well,
I think
bring
there's
the
one that we
treasurer in
really,
first. I
we can
mean,
get.
maybe engineering first and treasurer second. Okay,
Yeah.
we can do them.
Because treasury's got some concrete things there that we can kind of dispense with.
And I had some thoughts as we went along, and I think it's timely because the audit, this is the 2020 audit or the 2021?
2020.
2020 audit will be here next week,
2020.
around the corner.
We're full, possibly late October.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So are we adjourning?
We are
and then we
adjourning
have a
this
new
meeting.
at
This is
3
not a
o'clock.
joint meeting. It's a separate meeting of the school board at 3, which I'll
So that's all we can.
invite everyone to.
All right, so motion to adjourn.
Yep.
All right, so moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
We are adjourned. However, the commissioners, as trustees of the Norfolk County Agricultural School, will be attending a 3 o'clock meeting here on Zoom with Chairman Little and Director Martin and our other trustees. So if you want to stay tuned and watch the school board meeting, we'll convene, it'll be convened at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, right?
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Okay. Very good.
Sure.